focusing our perspective on the tales left untold, I'd like to move our perspective and mostly focus on Ethiopia. Many people have related their history to Ethiopia, mostly Jamaica and the Israelites. They say one of the wives of King Solomon was a woman from Ethiopia. To be precise, she was Queen Makeda, or they call her Queen Sheba as of now. Many ancient, untempered sources and accounts are still present in the contemporary Ethiopia, and one that is full of profundities that give a clear, lucid exposition on the identity of this dark continent stricken with confusion, and one that historians are obsessed with and cannot fail to acknowledge is none other than the Kebra Nagast. This title, an ancient language still surviving in Ethiopia, translates as the glory of kings. It takes a trip down the memory lane to a time when Africa never had an identity crisis but clothed herself in historic glory. The Kebra Nagas contain an account of how the Queen Makeda of Ethiopia, better known as Sheba, met with King Solomon of Israel, the Bow Hassan Menelik I, who founded the Solomonic dynasty in Ethiopia that lasted to close 3,000 years, and Kadamawi Haile Selassie, which translates to "let all who know him praise him to the skies," was the final dynasty emperor. The Kebra Nagast essentially holds the genealogy of the Solomonic dynasty, although being a gigantic conflation of many legendary cycles. Mostly when you go to the Rastafarian community, they draw the ancient roots mostly from Ethiopia, and they connect more with Haile Selassie. It all began with the Seraphic Queen who had ruled for 6 years in her nation. This Queen of South was beautiful in face and stature, and her understanding of things and intelligence were of high character. Some sources, however, deduce and estimate that close to 127 provinces that are from the idyllic Africa of ancient times up to the border with India constituted her jurisdiction, with gifts, tokens, or taxes that came with a kingdom of such scale. She was exceedingly rich in glory, gold and silver, splendid apparel, camels, and a diverse bunch of animals, slaves and merchants carrying on her business and trafficking for her up to the ends of the unknown world by land and by sea. You might go back to the history and remember that back in the day, for you to be rich, you had to own maybe slaves, and mostly had to be the trade of selling spice, and that's what qualified you as a merchant. So most of the time, what made this queen to be wealthy was the slave trade and the sale of spices across the world. It was through one of our esteemed and established merchants of international renown by the name of Tamrin, who had been to Israel to deliver all the regal heavy-duty consignment for the building of the temple, that she was first introduced to the wisdom of Solomon. Tamrin recalled all he had seen with the king, and just by simple narration to her, she wept by the reason of the greatness of her pleasure in those revelations. Tamrin was a merchant to Israel. He had gone to sell some stuff for construction and building. That's when he heard of the great King Solomon, and that's how Queen Makeda got to meet with Solomon through one of her merchants. She pondered upon the odious odyssey to hear herself, see his face, embrace him, and petition his royalty. And it wasn't long before a bunch of camels were loaded as dowry, including uncountable animal caravans. She brought the king in Jerusalem many precious gifts of the desires of his heart, and most notably was the bulkiness of the spices. She preferred Solomon. Apart from the sublime quality, the quantity was unprecedented for a gift, and even subsequently remained unmatched in recorded history, making a lasting impression. During her stay, she was always making good use of the wise king free time, unleashing the inquisitive true deluge of tricky questions, of which were all answered with transcendental precision, much to her wonder. When Makeda became one of the many wives of Solomon, and through their marriage they bore a son, Menelik. So, in short, that's the history of Ethiopia. I'd like to keep it short and simple so that I may not overload you with a lot of content, because I know it's hard to absorb and process. So that's the beauty of Africa, and that's a tale that most of the time we don't get to hear. Or maybe we get to hear it through other sources, but to some extent it has been corrupted. You don't get to hear the true version or the real version behind the story behind the story. So I take this opportunity to indulge you. If you know more about such a story, why don't you comment and let's have a conversation as time goes by. And I'm pretty sure by the end of this rough season of Tales Left Untold, we would have learned much more about these stories, more in a philosophical way or in a literal way, or even in a symbolic way, or metaphorical way, however you may see it. So keep it tight, keep it safe as always. Remember to subscribe, share, repost, and kindly listen to the audios across all the audio platforms, and let's keep the love flowing. As always, I'm your host with the most. They call me Timothy, and good morning.